Rawteur. On October 31st, just a few days ago, Lauren Wilde filed a copyright lawsuit against Netflix over their miniseries Senna. Now, the reason this case stood out to me was just how blatant the alleged theft was. I mean, the same people that he'd been working with for years, the same people who had access to all of his materials, turned around and produced the show without him. So I went online, I pulled the case, and I went through the complaint. In it, Wilde says that Netflix and its Brazilian partner, Gulani Entertainment, didn't just copy the idea of a Senna biopic. They copied his version of it. Now, according to the lawsuit, their show used substantial portions of his material, including made-up characters, fabricated events, and entire dramatic beats that he created for his own series, also called Built for Speed, Senna. But here's what's wild. No pun intended. Back in 2013, Lauren Wilde started researching Ayrton Senna's life for what he hoped would become a scripted series. Now, he spent years interviewing people close to Senna, gathering details from his inner circle that weren't publicly known. And around 2016, he got meetings with executives at Sony and later Warner Brothers to pitch the project. Now, through those talks, his materials eventually reached a Brazilian producer named Gabriel Lacerda, one of the very people later credited on Netflix's Senna series. And that right there is the point of access. This case will not, or at least it shouldn't be dismissed. This should go to trial simply due to the access. Evidence has not been made public yet, but according to the complaint, emails show Lacerda telling Wilde that the Senna family loved his treatment, saying it truly captured the essence of their boy. They even talked about flying Wilde to Brazil, bringing in director Asif Kapadia, the guy who made the Oscar-winning Senna documentary, and then formalizing a full creative partnership between the group. By that point, Wilde had written 11 episodes, nearly 600 pages, plus a full story arc for the limited series. He sent all of it to Lacerda and the Senna family in 2018. They thanked him, promised to finalize terms, and kept asking for more materials. Gulani's co-founder even emailed him offering to make him a co-writer on the feature film version and promising that another writer, Luis Bolognese, would serve as showrunner for Wilde's series. So at this point, Wilde is doing the Birdman hand rub, the blimp from Scarface that says the world is yours is flying over his apartment because, man, he finally made it. Or so he thought. Because then, he never heard from them again. In April 2019, after more than 2 years of back and forth and contract drafts, Gulani cut off communication and told him they were focusing on a separate and independent project. And that, folks, is what is called a Hollywood handshake. It's when someone, usually a Hollywood producer or director, says all the right things. We're doing this, you're perfect for it, let's make it happen. But nothing's actually signed, scheduled, or followed up on. It gives you that rush of validation, like something's locked in, until you realize it was all just talk. Fast forward to late 2024. Netflix releases a big budget series titled Senna, produced by Gulani no less, co-created by Luis Bolognese. Familiar names, right? In association with the Senna family. These are all the same people who once had Wilde's full script sitting in their inboxes. In his complaint, Wilde accuses Netflix of failing to do any meaningful due diligence before greenlighting the project, even though his works were officially registered with the Copyright Office of the Writers Guild of America years earlier. So what he's suing for is for copyright infringement, breach of confidence, breach of implied contract, unjust enrichment, and unfair competition under California law. And the relief he's asking for covers everything from injunctions, which would be stopping the film from being seen on Netflix anymore or anywhere else, the miniseries, and the destruction of the infringing materials, which burn the reels. Also restitution, statutory damages, punitive damages, and attorney's fees, as well as even a full accounting of Netflix profits. Now that part is interesting, Because as we know, streaming profits aren't like ticket sales. In the old box office model, you could say, all right, this many tickets were sold at this price. Here's the revenue. Straightforward math. But with streaming, it's completely different. Because how do you quantify what each stream is worth? That question's been hanging over the industry for years. It's the same thing the music industry's been fighting about, and part of why negotiations with actors during the strike dragged on so long. Because you're trying to value streams after the fact, right? Let's say hypothetically, Netflix's Senna miniseries, which has been out for about a year now, pulled in 5 million viewers. Multiply that by 6 episodes, and you end up with maybe 20 to 25 million total if, we're being generous because, not everyone is going to watch the entire miniseries, right? But here's the problem. If Netflix ever put out an actual dollar amount to their streaming figures, we'd finally know how much or how they value streams. But then also, would that number be consistent across their entire catalog? I mean, is a stream of Stranger Things worth the same as a smaller foreign language show? How do they decide that? These are the kind of accounting details Netflix keeps very close to the chest. And honestly, if that information ever leaks out, I'm coming right back here to break it all down. But that's exactly why I think Netflix will do everything in its power to keep those details under wraps. A case like this exposes the business math they never want public. If it doesn't get dismissed, which I don't think it will, it'll probably settle quietly, and those numbers will stay secret. Still, this one feels too blatant just to disappear. Wild has the emails, he has the access trail, the same people he shared his work with are credited on the final show. That's hard to wave off as coincidence. So what do you think? If you were sitting on the jury and saw those emails, would you vote in Wild's favor or side with Netflix? Let me know in the comments below. And for more industry breakdowns like this, check out this next video right here.